Okay, I believe this is episode 10.
How do you know where you are?
Mostly from the last one I edited.
Oh,
But
10 weeks, baby. That's pretty cool.
that's 10 weeks.
So we have an update. We got to update you. There's a couple changes.
Yep.
Don't know if it matters to the listener, but guess we've got to report it, whatever.
It's going to matter to the listener.
Well, we had something happen. The hosting website, was it Spreaker? Spreaker.
Yeah.
Spreaker. They could come up with a real word for their website. Maybe they wouldn't have issues. Actually, they don't have issues. We're trying to get away with doing this as cheaply as possible.
Yep.
And by that, I mean free. So we went and we found a hosting website that allows us to upload podcasts that then allowed all the platforms that run podcasts to read them, I guess is the right term. Or
To host them.
okay, well, whatever. Anyway, suffice it to say, they only let us have so many podcasts before they wanted to start charging us.
Yes.
So what you did was what?
So they only allow 5 hours, which they didn't advertise that when you pick the free plan.
Of course not.
Because they want you to upgrade, right?
Yep.
But so do all the other podcast hosting websites. They're like, we want you to pay monthly a subscription to put your content on here, right?
Right.
So what we found out is at 5 episodes, we couldn't put any more on.
Uh-huh.
And we were using over storage as it was. Well, the thing about that is we can't really post more episodes then. So
Neither could anybody else since we're wanting to do a podcast. So all you folks out there looking to do a podcast, here comes the workaround.
here's the workaround. Sadly, you have to delete your past episodes, put new ones on to Spreaker, which then distributes them to Apple, Spotify, all the different podcast players, like where people go to listen to their podcasts.
So on iTunes, we only have 5 episodes. The most recent 5 episodes will ever be on those platforms.
Same with Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google,
Which isn't a bad thing, really, because I've heard the old ones, and we're getting better, but we suck.
Just the sad thing about that is any views you do get are deleted
Okay,
when the episode's deleted.
I see.
But here's the way I found kind of around that. We can't... See, we only have the first 5 recent ones on the podcast, like the audio-only networks, like iTunes, iHeartRadio, all those people.
Yep. And until we get a sponsor to pay for storage, that's the way it'll be.
That's all it'll be, which sadly is harder to do if you don't have views because you're deleting them every...
Yeah, so how do you get a sponsor when you don't have the
It's
views?
just... we're kind of in there for a longer run, I guess. But if you want to listen to like our past podcasts, we created a YouTube channel where we've uploaded every single one, and you can listen to every episode, not just the 5 most recent ones.
So let me ask you.
Yeah.
If all the episodes are on YouTube, will YouTube record views or whatever?
Yes, but they don't record views for anything that you get from iTunes, Google, any of that.
But if we were, let's say, down at the restaurant here locally, and we said, hey, do you want to advertise it on our podcast? We would tell them to go to YouTube to look and see how many views we've had.
If you want to show, the combined...
The total, right,
The total.
of all of them.
But that total will not include at all anybody that's listened through iTunes, Spotify.
Oh, so
Google.
only the people that have listened through YouTube. Oh, boy. Well, I guess then...
You're kind of stuck in a loophole.
Yep.
So if you want to hear older episodes,
Yep.
go to YouTube.
Okay.
Because that's where they all are.
That's where you'll find them.
Yep.
And everything else, the contact info is still the same, conversationtransfer@gmail.com.
Yep, that should be the same. Just the new thing is the old episodes are on YouTube. They are not gone forever, but we're kind of screwing ourselves.
Well, until we can afford $128 a year. What was it?
Oh, that's per month if you do the publisher.
For Speaker wanted how much a month? I thought they only wanted $7 a month.
$28 a month if you do the publisher. That's the full specs, everything.
Well, we just want them to have.
If you want 100 hours of storage, so only 100 podcast episodes, it's $7 a month.
Oh, so you need $130 a month,
basically. If you want
for the duration of this program,
yep,
to have it available to the public.
Yep.
Every episode.
Yep. To those different places.
I had no idea. I thought this could all be done for free. I thought that's how it went.
Me too, but apparently not. Because even all the other hosting websites, they want a paid subscription.
Well, that's the thing. Speaker's all like, you're not monetized. They were all like telling you that you didn't have.
Well, we wouldn't need monetized right now anyway, because you don't even get enough views to make jack squat.
That's what I figured. I didn't suspect we would ever need to be monetized until it came up that we had to pay for stuff, and then I thought, well, I don't want to pay for stuff, but so that's where that is. Now, the other way to ask for advertisers is to ask for the listeners to pay a subscription fee.
No.
No.
Not really, no.
I thought that was something that happened on other podcasts that you went to.
No, they don't pay all the hot podcasts are always free.
Well, I'd hope so.
The consumer is the ad network, the sponsorships.
Okay, so just like the radio and the television.
Yep, so the people that are paying the producer, which is the podcast maker, are not the listeners, but the ad companies that want to have the producer, the podcast maker, tell a little bit about their company and why they should go to it.
Right. Well, that's the thing is we don't need, obviously, to be paid. We just don't want to pay.
Yeah.
So if a sponsor is interested, which I doubt there are any, well, in order to do it, I really think we'll have to somehow convince, the restaurant down the street or the small business around the corner.
Good luck.
I know, because at first when you said $7, and I thought it was $128 a year, I thought that's pretty low to swing. Yeah.
That's just for 100 hours, though. So 100 podcast episodes.
Right, but you'd need the $128 a month
to
your entire content.
The way up. And that's just Spreaker's price. I think there's probably better prices you can find on other hosting websites.
Well, now that'll be the next step for you, is to research.
Oh, I'm not doing that for a long time.
I'm not asking you to do it right now, bud.
Yeah, we don't even have somebody willing to give us money yet.
Yep.
So.
Oh well.
Yep. But just YouTube. Find them on YouTube.
Find them on YouTube. That's where we are. Yep. All episodes on YouTube.
Yep. Including this one.
The last 5 most recent episodes on everywhere you get your podcast.
Yep. Not all of them anymore. Like we used to say, I guess.
All right. Well, no. Live and learn, right? I mean, we're trailblazing for those that haven't done it yet. I mean, and for those that have, it would have been nice for you to, disseminate that information to us. Not that I'm bitching, just maybe they have.
Yeah. Or we just missed it or something.
Could have been. So,
our topic today.
Yes.
What are we doing? I mean, this is kind of another winging it one because we didn't really talk about anything throughout the week. We've been pretty busy.
It's been a busy week. Well, a couple things came up. There was I wanted to spend some time talking about like deep fakes. Maybe because here's the thing about them. The other day, you and I watched a video that was showing a jet plane fly through the air, and you looked at that and you said that's fake. You said that's CGI. And until they put the smoke coming off of it, couldn't tell. I mean, the plane was doing some crap, obviously, that was not conducive to airplane, or just did not look like aerodynamics going
I
on.
thought it was a model.
Well, I did. I thought it was a model plane because I thought maybe a lightweight aircraft could do those things. But, and in fact, I still think it was a model of something else, and they just superimposed it over.
Well, yeah, it was what I could tell, it was a VR camera set filming a takeoff of a model plane, and then using that still screen to put in a CAD imagery that was, they put their light source on the CAD, the same place where the sun was in the VR shot of the camera, and then flew it around, and all it did was the computer tracked it and created the shadows needed to be created and stuff. I could easily tell.
You could tell. You could. I couldn't.
Fake.
Like I said, until the smoke came out of it, I was like, "Well, yeah, that's absolutely fake." But I was staring. Oh, my mouth dropping to the floor. Like, what the hell is this?
And there's all kinds of
plane doing here.
Videos on YouTube like that where they do, fake stuff in real situation.
And see, that's what I wanted to talk about it. I mean, that was kind of the point I wanted to make and maybe delve into, because it goes back to a podcast that I think I played for you guys, the Radiolab episode about deep fakes and the being able to take people's voices, being able to take recordings of people and manipulating them to say whatever they wanted. So I could tape a recording of you singing "Happy Birthday."
Yep.
And then I could take this software that's out there, manipulate it, and you could just have a conversation about anything and not be able to discern that it was not real. In the same way I had a trouble discerning that was a fake plane flying through the air.
It's just it's not just me singing "Happy Birthday." They need something like 20 or 40 minutes.
No, they didn't need that much time. I thought they needed like 45 seconds or something.
They need 40 minutes to do they could do any word in the English language then. They could have like a few seconds to maybe, if there's any phrases that sound familiar,
right.
The computer can create a simple phrase. But for to make them say whatever you want, 40 minutes. But here's the deal. If it's someone famous that someone's, been doing a lot of speech recently, there's tons of hours.
Content is out there already.
Yeah. Over 40 minutes.
The leaders of nations.
Yep.
The content's out there already.
Yep.
So where I am on it was the funny thing is the person that created this, and I'm paraphrasing from the Radiolab episode,
which was a couple years ago.
Yeah, I got this information. It's been I was still in the oil field when I heard that podcast. Anyways, it's been a couple years. So where are we today with that technology? Radiolab played with it, and they showed us what it could do then, and it was pretty impressive. Now, as the evolution of technology is anyway, that it's gotten better.
Yep. So, I haven't personally researched this. Like you said, we kind of had a busy week, didn't get an outline done. But if you'd like to research it right now.
Well, we can research as we go. I think that would be the best thing to do is you just start typing in what you need to, and we can comment on it. The thing that came to mind when I heard this episode, and it was kind of funny, is you can find it on Radiolab. It's very interesting. And I don't know the name of it, but I've looked for episodes on Radiolab before of things I found interesting, and you just get on their website, you type in the subject, and those guys will get right back to you. They know their stuff, and they'll get right back to you. They took it from the point of view as, hey, this is interesting, but what it did for me, and this happened at the time that I was listening to the original podcast a couple years ago, is this is scary stuff.
Yep.
This is scary stuff. You get a world leader making an announcement, and the populace could, and it's fake, the populace could end up believing it.
Well, yeah, if your program's really intuitive and perfect.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, you figure these hackers, I mean, they can do a lot of things. I mean, that's very scary, and it's out there for the average Joe to use.
Yep, there's, like, I just typed in deepfake software.
Right.
There's all kinds of
It's all over the place.
apps you can buy. Of course, this is more of a social media thing, like, you know, the filters and stuff like that, but...
Yep.
No, there's software that's probably easy to manipulate to make better, that's using the principles. Like, there's obviously the high-tech software, like the Radiolab was going over, the people that have been actually using this as a research guide, not just to play around and put apps on. You know, apps obviously probably don't take that many years of software manipulating, but the thing about it is they probably still have the fundamentals to make a mastermind software if you're good with programs, and you can hack into that stuff to create your
anything
own.
You wanted. Anything.
Yeah.
Well, and this is why it's scary. Here, the people have to be very careful with what they are viewing over the internet or on the television, because of the tendency for technology like this to be used in a wrong way. I mean, just not for fun, but with the trolls that are out there and the trolling that goes on, and the people that, for whatever reason, as their own entertainment, their own sick entertainment, think that they're not harming anybody, were to put something together where Vladimir Putin or President Trump or the leader of North Korea, what's his name, Kim Jong-un?
Yep.
Imagine that somebody puts that together and makes the population believe that they are saying something that they are not. Like, we're going to war. You've got 30 seconds to figure out what to do, and we're going to launch a bomb on you.
Yep. And the whole idea of, like, it looks like the common apps is you can kind of get yourself, like your hair and stuff, looking like the person you want to imitate, and then put their face on yours and talk.
Right. Right, yeah. So you're showing a picture of David.
This is just an app I'm looking on Windows, or like one of those simple softwares, you know.
Right, and they've taken the actress whose name eludes me at the moment and put David on top of her face, and now she looks like, I mean, skin tone and everything, David. Very interesting. Tobey Maguire on someone else's face there. So looks like dad and baby switching faces, and that I can tell. Funny. I can tell it just doesn't look right. You don't put an adult's face on a baby. So obviously that's
just for fun.
That's for fun.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to being able to discern a deep fake from reality, when on your social media, piss on Twitter, piss on Facebook, piss
Snapchat.
on Instagram,
Snapchat,
piss on Snapchat. There, I got them all in.
Not all.
Well, I got the main ones. When you're looking at your social media and a news brief comes across and the president is saying, I have decided to go to war with Russia because they are... Actually, Trump wouldn't say that. He would say something more like, I decided to go to war with Canada because they're a bunch of liberals up there and I hate liberals. People might believe that. Or if the President Trump got on there and said, I want my whole base now to grab your guns and start shooting the liberals because we are starting a civil war and that's what you need to do right now. There are people that might believe that and start doing that. That scares me. It worries me. Yep. And when I consider myself a talented person. I can't discern deep fakes from non-deep fakes. Who's to say that others could? I mean, I know you could with the airplane, and you
can with video engineering. You could totally tell if it was fake or not.
Here's the thing: what they said on NPR was that in this instant world that we live in, it's
instantaneous. If the major populace can't obviously debunk it right away,
you're screwed because
it is instant. I'm saying if you had a little time, and there's people like, there's a YouTube channel called
Right.
Captain Disillusion where all he does is basically, he's really cool. It's family friendly. He's kind of funny, but he looks through videos that obviously look pretty fake, and then takes a pinpoint.
Right.
And shows how they're fake and why
Right.
they're fake, and then like recreates it himself. He's like, this software was used because I can see you can point track here and just do it. And he shows all this high tech software editing features that we have, and how he can debunk it by just catching a little single white line that might flash across the screen in an instant, showing that that photo was manipulated with tracking points or something.
Sure. Right. And there are people that can detect that. But it takes
It
what?
takes a couple days.
Yes. And I'm sorry, but if the president says, okay, we need my base to rise up and get your guns, defend America against liberals.
And which would be fake, obviously.
From
a deep fake.
It would
it'd
be fake.
A hacker.
It would be a hacker doing something, but that's what I'm saying. The thing is, it would take days to figure that out.
Yep.
Meanwhile, those folks are grabbing up their guns and shooting liberals, thinking that my president is ordering me to go out and start.
That's very, very...
Yes, it's extreme, Hayden. Oh, my God. It's extreme, but look what's happening right now.
Still, it's way too extreme to even compare to right now. No way.
So we have an election coming up.
Yeah, I'm just saying...
No,
I don't want to get into this conversation. This is what I'm telling you. That's extreme.
You just don't want to face the probability.
No, I do, and the probability is so fragging low, it's not even funny.
What was the probability of us going to war with the Russians launching nukes in the 80s?
Ooh, that was pretty high then, but...
Why was it any higher than some baby whiner losing the election, calling it rigged, and saying, we got to go out and stop these liberals?
Because, like you said, it's a minority.
It doesn't matter. If there's one person in 10,000 that has a gun and starts shooting up an amphitheater in Las Vegas, 56 people are dead.
I'm not saying it wouldn't happen. I'm just saying it's not probable that the mass majority of populace would be affected. There'd obviously be a lot of people affected, like shootings, but it's not the mass majority of the populace. I'm just saying what you're saying is very extreme. There wouldn't be a civil war or anything caused by it, unless it got to the point to where there was a mass populace.
I like your optimism. I like the optimism.
And that would all be under fake stuff.
Yeah, it would be started by some troll doing that. But that's the danger in this. If one person goes out and starts shooting liberals, that's dangerous.
Yeah, but then you're just going into, if one little army soldier from Russia that was in here as a spy started shooting people, it's dangerous. You're just going into what ifs, and you don't deal with what ifs until they actually happen.
No, that is being retroactive.
No. Don't take me the wrong way.
Foreseeable, then preventable.
Foreseeable and preventable, but I'm not talking about the extreme crazy crap.
We have a reality TV star as the president of the most powerful country in the world who literally lies, bold-faced fucking lies to the public on a regular fucking basis. That is unprecedented. Never happened before. Yes, all politicians lie.
Oh, it's happened before.
No,
now
not
you're lying. Oh, yes, you
not
are.
the way he does.
Oh, yeah, pretty much the way he does. You're just talking about the 80s? What do you think Reagan was? What do you think President Ronald Reagan,
he didn't get on television
reality
bold-faced lie.
TV? Yes, he did.
No, he didn't.
Oh, hell yeah, he did. He
on a regular basis?
On a regular basis.
When was this? Go ahead, cite one example.
Oh, my God. So we've ripped Reagan before on this podcast for trickle-down economics.
Doesn't matter. I'm talking about, go ahead. One lie.
Oh, my God.
One lie.
Star Wars.
Star Wars, Reagan thought that was reality.
It wasn't.
It wasn't. It didn't mean he didn't think
it was. He knew
it
it wasn't reality.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
What he sold to the American public about Star Wars sounded pretty freaking conceivable.
Either
sounded
he's
like
super
you could
dumb or super smart. So
it sounded like you could build. I think he was sold that bag of goods and believed it.
Nope, no way, no way.
What's so improbable about being able to build a defensive net of missiles that can intercept incoming Russian missiles today, back in the 80s, at any point in time when missile technology existed? What's so far-fetched about that?
Our technology has always been about equivalent to the Russians. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you have tracking software, they'll cancel each other out.
There's a small defensive system called the Patriot missile, which intercepts incoming missiles, and that's not as big or on the scale of Star Wars, but it exists and it works.
Yes, I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I'm not saying it's probable for it not to exist. I'm saying he knew it did not exist, or either he's the biggest idiot that ever walked the planet
that's
the
what
Earth.
I'm thinking.
Nope. Or he knew what was going on, used his acting talents to put a face both towards the Russians and the American populace because he was such a good with words. He was known as a wordy person, very good, and deep faked everyone. I don't know. It's not. I'm telling you right now, he knew.
Okay, well,
and
I guess
he's another. I personally do not like Reagan. He was another. I call him the first Donald Trump. He's the first person that started supporting Rush Limbaugh, started getting all this dumb conservative.
I don't think Rush Limbaugh did not come into existence until
he came into existence right when President Reagan was in 1987, and his first thing he did was meet with President Reagan and set all the new conservative era up.
Okay, that's George Bush's era.
Nope. It's Reagan's era.
It was George Bush's era.
George Bush continued it. Reagan started it.
Probably.
No,
okay.
I know.
Yes, you're very passionate on this topic. Anyways, back to the point I'm trying to make. I don't think that we were lied to on an hourly basis.
Well,
Boldface lied to on an hourly basis are now.
I'm just saying it's been around before. You can't say it hasn't. Okay,
I'm not saying that
in modern American history.
Thing I said politicians lie. We know that. Not on the scale of what is happening today with the platforms and the media, with the social media.
Not with social media and stuff like that.
This guy,
I'm saying,
he has
it's
Twitter
been
at his
as
fingertips.
Extreme before, though, through other platforms. I'm saying America has suffered way extreme things. If you go back a century and a half ago to the Civil War, what do you think that was? The most extreme radical idea out there.
It was.
This isn't the first time everybody's acting, oh my gosh, it's the first time that America has seen radicalism, or it's the first time that we've seen so much division. No, it's not. Okay? Just to go back freaking 150 years, that was a heated time. Go back a little over 60 years, 1960s. Oh my God, what are you going to call that? Oh, that was nothing compared to today.
There are points in history that determine there are short periods in history that determine the.
And I'm not saying we're not in one, but I'm not. But I hate it when people say this is the worst it's ever been. No, it isn't.
Okay, I'm not saying that this is the worst it's ever been.
You just said, "Oh, we've never had this happen."
No,
before.
we have never.
Not with social media, but through other platforms.
Well, then listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. I am talking about social media. It's never been so instantaneous that information has been able to be disseminated across a huge population.
Yeah. And I agree with you with that because obviously technology makes it that way. And that's why something like a deep fake is so scary. But we've had scary things given the current technology we had in the past before. When we started doing IBMs in the 1960s.
IBM what?
IBM's.
How was that scary?
How's that scary? You'd like a country to get nuked?
Okay. Oh, you mean ICBMs, not IBM is the software company, computer manufacturer. You're talking about ICBMs.
Don't get me credited wrong for that. My brain's
it's all right.
Kind of sleepy. But
So I'm saying
that technology in that type of day was as scary, if not scarier, than the new technologies of social media and deepfake as today. We've always had a posing threat given the certain technology. Today, it's the instantaneous bit of the media and the news. Back then, it was the ever-looming threat that we all had a bunch of nukes pointed at each other.
Okay, but let me stop you right there. The ICBMs pointed at us had safeguards in place that gave us time, a bunch of time.
15 minutes.
No, that's from the time you push the button. But you got to realize that there were all kinds of steps that had to be gone through before you actually launched that missile.
Who says the other country's going to follow those steps?
They did. They understand the consequences.
They did. I'm saying, thankfully they did, but who says not some crazy wacko's not going to turn that key with somebody other crazy wacko and start something? Who says not some crazy hacker's going to hack in today?
There were codes. It took codes to launch those missiles.
Okay.
And without the proper codes, you couldn't turn the keys.
I know that.
Okay, that's the difference between then and now. It doesn't take a code to get a redneck to go shoot on up a freaking soccer field full of
because you have to hack into that software first and make it real enough to where the majority of the populace believes what they're seeing.
You only need a small amount. You don't need the majority of the populace to believe that Donald Trump said, grab your guns up and go start shooting liberals. All you need is fucking one guy in each of the 50 states, one fucking and are you going to say that we aren't at a population where that, by the law of averages, doesn't exist? There's one crazy nut in every state that will grab up his gun and start shooting liberals if Donald Trump tells him to. Or if he perceives Donald Trump tells him to.
What's the probability he sees that?
Pretty fucking high because of social media.
Yes. So
we didn't have that heightened ability during the days of ICBMs. That's my whole point.
Oh, you had pretty heightened stress though. So I'm saying maybe the stress level's lower today for that stuff. Obviously, you're very stressed about it.
No, you're wrong. Let me tell you something. Because of all that's going on with the apocalypse, the stress level is very high.
Well, yes, because of right now. I'm saying before COVID, any of that, this technology existed before COVID. It's not like it just showed up.
Right, but
it's being advanced upon, but it didn't just show up.
Hey, I don't want to remove your optimism because I love it.
Well, I'm not trying to just be this whole optimistic person either. I get it. I get the threat. I'm just saying my point I'm trying to make is we have always had threats in the past, and somehow we've always
averted
or
disaster.
Overcome or something.
Absolutely.
And I don't know, if that were to happen, that one crazy guy was to grab his gun, obviously people would get shot, but I don't think the majority of the populace, obviously the majority of the populace would be affected, the families and stuff involved, but the majority of people, wouldn't be wiped out or killed, as in like a threat from a nuke where the entire countries could be blowing each other up.
Unless
it's hacked.
The deep fake
was
perceived by Kim Jong-un, who has the nuclear capabilities, unless the deep fake was perceived by the leader of China or the leader of Russia as being, oh, he just launched missiles, I better launch mine.
But they've got the red phone for that. They've got the direct wire running across the ocean to each of the countries to confirm that. Hopefully, like you said, your safeguards, your codes, your 15 minutes, they've got that red phone and everything still. They've still got to put in the codes. They still got the people to turn the keys. They've still got that direct communication because obviously stuff like this, that's why we created the wire line across the ocean floor, because we almost got to blowing each other up over miscommunication already in the 1960s when Kennedy was president. Early 1960s, Cuban Missile Crisis. Bunch of miscommunication, and we went, oh, shoot, we better run a telephone line or something across the ocean so we can directly talk to them and say, are you really going to pull the trigger? Are you really going to submit your codes? That's why, if the deep fake was to happen, you have this miscommunication. I'd hope that they, leaders being leaders, would still do that protocol of picking up the phone. Of course, then you're questioning how crazy is your leader, and I think he's pretty damn crazy.
There is a bunch of
our
leaders
leader.
that are crazy right now. That's
Yeah.
the problem. We're living in an era where insanity is at the reins.
I get that, and that's why I see why it's a threat. I'm just saying there should be those safeguards in.
I think what needs to happen is people need to question everything.
Well,
I think
Not
I think
to the point to where you're paranoid and living in fear. You've got to live your life, but
if you're going to live with
You
these
should-
technologies, then you're going to have to take on the responsibility of living with these technologies.
Yes.
And that is, if you want to call it paranoid, if you want to call it fear, I don't know what you want to call it. I think you need to make sure you're educated as to what you're reading on all the social media platforms.
yes, and there's a lot of people that don't do that.
Well, you need to be educated to deep fakes. And I'm glad that you looked at that plane and you're like, yes, that is. I'd hope that the rest of Generation Z is able to do that as well. Otherwise, I have a feeling we're in for some more poo-poo times than we have already.
And yeah, I get that. I get that threat. I get what you're saying. I just feel from an optimistic side, seeing what humans have done in the history of modern, at least modern America, modern countries, the modern era of human history. I think we've been able to overcome that because none of us want the responsibility of causing mass destruction.
But what you call modern and what is truly modern are two different things. You're talking about maybe the last 50 years as modern history? Because prior to that, it was still modern times, and we had World War II.
Considered modern still. Modern, I think it's up to World War II. That's
After
considered
World War
modern.
II, we had the freaking genocide in Bosnia-Herzegovina.
Yeah, same with Cambodia.
We had the genocides in Cambodia. We had the We had Russia scoop up millions of their citizens and murder them.
China killed billions of their or not billions,
hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of
yes.
millions.
So you think in modern times it's better? I think it's not. I think it's just the killing has gotten easier.
Well, I don't know. I'm mostly talking from an American standpoint, but obviously we might be a little better off with our freedoms than other countries. So it's really whoever wants to take that away is trying to, if they succeed in taking that away, then I believe something like that's possible.
Well, I think it's always possible.
Yes, it's always possible because there's always a slight percent of chance. It's just how probability works. There will always be a probable cause towards anything. But I don't think it's high enough probability to worry about, but to, just be aware about. Because here's another thing. What platforms you said social media for the deepfake. Usually when a leader of a nation has something big to say, they come on television and you get alerts on your phones through like the Amber Alert system and all that type of stuff. Not that hacker that was to create this very realistic deepfake would have to hack all that stuff. They'd have to get into the telecommunication centers. They'd have to get into social media, which is, social media is probably the easiest to hack into out of all these things. They'd have to get into the news networks and act as if they were that news network by creating the same waterworks they have and all that stuff that they usually put across the screen. Fox News will have big Fox News at the bottom.
Right.
CNN will have big CNN logo at the top. It's just they'd have to recreate all that stuff, I believe, to get the majority of people to believe it. Now, your minority crazy person that may see it, yeah, that might happen. In a social media, and that'd be a big news story, but that wouldn't be detrimental if you're doing nukes, if you're talking about nukes and nuking other countries and something big like that.
No, I don't think
It'd have to be through all that.
I don't think the other leaders of the world are necessarily going to fall for deep fakes. That's not my concern. My concern is for the idiots.
Well, yeah, and that's why I'm saying the idiots probably would get it through something just social media, but if you're talking about this extreme, this big populace, it'd literally have to be through the television systems, the social media, the phone communication systems. It'd have to be all that systems that have different firewalls in place that are being changed all the time that they'd have to hack into and recreate to make it look realistic.
Well, let's just talk about something that happened a few days ago.
Okay.
You heard about the Twitter.
Yes, the Twitter thing. And see, that's why I'm saying social media is the easiest to hack into.
I heard, and I don't know if I believe this, that it was a 17-year-old kid.
I don't know. I haven't really looked into that story, so I
on the way home last night, it was reported on NPR as being a 17-year-old kid from Florida that hacked into Twitter, and the accounts of, I guess he did, what, Joe Biden, Obama, yeah,
Jeff Bezos,
right,
Bill Gates.
Big names.
And he basically just said send money.
Yeah, well...
It's a Florida teen charged mastermind behind massive Twitter hack. You're right.
I don't know if I believe that. I don't care if it is, if they're, railroading a Florida teen, although I do care about the teen being railroaded if he is. But it was one guy. It was just a guy, and... That's what I'm talking about. It happens. There it is. Oh, there he is. That's him.
Yeah, this is.
Has he made a statement?
Did general search.
Any statements?
17-year-old
charges. Fed charges. Massive Twitter hacker. Okay. What has there been a statement from him? Do you see it all?
I haven't seen a statement. Of course, I'm not really researching this in depth.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to whether or not he's pleading guilty, if he's really... Of course, they could have just tricked some kid into saying it was him.
That's just for the fame.
Yeah, and the kid for the fame would go ahead and say it. I'd like to see him reproduce it or have him explain exactly how he did it before I made up my mind that that's the actual guy. Because, yeah.
But
there you go. Now, comment on that, Mr. Man.
Comment on what?
On the fact that this kid hacked into Twitter.
Like I said, social media is really easy to hack into.
So,
like Zoom telecommunications, you heard Zoom bombing, stuff like that. Social media is just a more progressed Zoom. It's very that they're using simple elementary programs because they were created a decade ago, and by now, people have had enough time to play around with those programs to find easy loopholes or different virus things that can break down firewalls and just simple stuff like that to where, yeah, social media, I could definitely see it going on. However, phones, which were built in a different generation back when we didn't have the technology age and weren't experimenting with these new programs, like it wasn't... Obviously, it's still a computerized system, right? It's still computer hardware. Like Intel has the giant boxes that process this stuff, but that is way harder to hack into because it's using older technology. Mm-hmm. It's progressing off of older technology. It's not using older technology.
Right.
Like 5G is just the older technology that's progressed to be today.
Right.
Today's, telecommunications.
No, I get it. The foundation is...
It's just an older platform.
All this stuff is built on a foundation of stuff. It's not...
So that's why I'm saying Twitter, that was just hacked, is probably an easier base that we've had a little time to play around with. That's newer to where it hasn't progressed these things. That it's where it's in the new technology age that, a 17-year-old kid could possibly hack into and tweet things from other people's profiles.
Yeah.
Because this wasn't even a deep fake. He didn't post any...
No, he just pretended to be somebody else, or he just typed from their account.
Yeah, typed from their account saying, send me money, basically.
Yep. So that, I thought, was, wowzer. What are you reading?
Oh, I'm not reading anything. I'm just looking at the headlines, just, since we were talking about that.
Yep.
So, do you have anything else on deepfakes? Obviously, we didn't really talk much about, the audio and the face and stuff, how they're made. I guess the main point is you can put someone's face on yours. Or yours on someone's face.
Well, I think you can. No, there was one
that's face tracking.
Well, this is what it was.
You talk into the camera, and it tracks your face, and then uses imitation on somebody else's, like your celebrity's face.
Yeah, it makes their face, it manipulates their actual face to say the words.
And then you can, by having like 40 minutes of a speech or something, you can create it. This software can create almost any sentence together, and it can sound like the person. And then you just overlay sound with video in editing. There you go.
Well, I'd like to just make a prediction.
Yeah?
I'd like to predict that before this election, you're going to have Joe Biden's going to come on Twitter or one of the dumbass social medias and say some pretty outrageous stuff. And it won't be Joe Biden. It'll be a deep fake.
That's your prediction?
Yep.
Okay. I could see that happening. If I was against Joe Biden, which I'm not very for him, but, lesser of two evils, I could see, doing that.
I could totally see it. I not only could I see it happening, I believe it will happen. I think it's like you said, this stuff has been out there now long enough that someone's going to, and not that here's the thing, probably not going to be bought. It's probably not going to be bought. But I think one of the main legacy media outlets will pick it up and run it. Maybe not as a story, but they'll run it. And there'll be some people that get behind it and say, did you see what Joe Biden said? And think it was true.
Yeah, I could see that happening. Which then I guess our main point for that is just be aware. Does this seem, there's so many crazy things today. You don't, it's almost hard to see, does this seem real? Does this seem like it could actually be happening?
How do we be aware, though? How do we protect ourselves from believing bullshit like the airplane doing weird shit?
Well, I could see that easily. Like, I thought it was kind of funny that you couldn't. But I think the best thing that we could do, which we haven't, is create some kind of software that can detect by going back to the original software creators, finding out how they created this software, and then, much as like antivirus things.
Get an antidote for deepfakes?
Basically.
That's a great idea. That's something that
Norton does simple antivirus or ransomware stuff have a program that can check media and social media broadcasts and all this stuff.
It's $1 million idea right there.
Going through.
Yep.
Just have a program that
reading
can
everything.
Read it and say, no, this is fake.
Yep.
Which I think is completely possible.
Well, if the fakes are possible, then the antidote is possible.
Because you can just, basically it's opposites, just read the opposite program than the deep fake. Almost, it's a little more complicated than that, obviously. But opposite program that can tell you, no, this is fake. If human eyes can do it, and we can do it because, like, this guy on YouTube knows how people fake stuff because he's played with the software himself, and he can look for that stuff. Why can't we just write a simple program like we've been doing do tasks like that for a couple decades now to just look for that and say yes or no?
I think that would interest governments to have that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Which I could by no means create it myself, but some other programming gooby could, because I don't know how those work, obviously.
Right.
So.
No, but the guy, like you said, the YouTube guy does, and he could. So that gives me a little hope for the future. I'm glad that you thought about that and put me at ease, and maybe anybody else that was listening to this conversation. Yeah, let's make sure that gets done.
So, there's a such thing called deepfakes where they can manipulate your face and your audio to make it sound like you're talking.
Oh, really?
Should have gotten that in earlier, but I just thought of it, so.
No, that's fine. Well, I guess good podcast today.
Yep. I think we should wrap it up with, hopefully, the best idea that I can see is creating that antidote program, the anti-deepfake program.
Yeah, and make it so that it's got it. I'd like to have something like that on my phone that just flashes fake. If I'm looking at...
Even like if some software producer was to make an app, I mean,
Right.
that would just be kickstarting it.
That would be. How do we get that out there?
Here we go, podcast.
No. we we could use a few subscribers.
Yeah.
And then they could spread the word. But maybe in conversations, it'll get out there eventually.
Yep.
Because, it would be great to have it. That's $1 million idea for someone, for some software writer to get that going. Because if
make it another 17-year-old kid from Florida so we can cancel out the other guy.
whatever it takes, if you're looking at your piss on Twitter or your piss on Facebook and it flashes on the screen, this isn't real, you could save lives.
Yep.
So, thanks for listening to this episode of Conversation Transfer. If you want to join the conversation in a way you can, just go ahead and send us an email. It's conversationtransfer@gmail.com.
If you like this episode, you could try more on now YouTube if you want to see the old ones.
Yep.
Apple Podcasts these are all, of course, for the 5 that are
The
most
latest.
recent.
Yep.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, or on our hosting website, Spreaker. Stay safe, keep thinking, and keep talking.